other pieces of paper that go into this system that also make up the system, and you can either use them or you can use another system you have. So let's look at all 5 pieces of paper and analyze why they'd be important to you. In addition to our financial sheet, which we call the cash flow system, or lately I call it the money tracker, I have my quarterly calendar. So to pull your quarterly calendar out of there, fold it in half like we did before, and fold it in thirds like you did with the cash flow system, so that in a minute you've got yourself organized with your time. Okay, got this? Now I want you to look how this works. On this one little piece of paper we have 90 days or 3 months worth of dates for us to plan for. Now you'll notice that they're blank in here. So let's figure out what this month would look like. The month of September, we find ourselves on the 11th of the month, and this happens to be a Monday. So over on the second week where it says Monday there, I'd like you to write 11, 12, 13, and go through the rest of the month until you filled it out. Okay? Second one down is 11. Is that right? Or it would be the third one down. No, it would be the second one down. That's right. What was the first day of September? What day was it? It was a Friday? Yeah. Okay, 11 would be the second one down. 11, and just fill in the blanks there. What I've done in my first month is I've filled in my blanks here and written them in. I kept this system going for a couple of years. This is the backside for my months of October and November, if this is the way you're filling it out. In other words, I want every one of you to get in the habit of planning out your days 90 days in advance. How many days in advance is the average person planned in the North American continent? A day to Friday. But most of the time it's very less than a week. And usually it's like a day at a time. They just get up in the morning, they say, what do I got to do today? They get in the car, they rush to work, they grab their Starbucks, and they just move on through the rest of their life. It's just the way it works. What is the average American corporation planned out for? 5 years. The average Japanese corporation's planned out for 150 years. And you ask the question, what is going to happen in 150 years? How do they know what's going to happen in 150 years? They plan for it to happen. The future is not something that happens. It's something that you make happen by the way in which you organize your life. And so what's going to happen by the year 2000? See, for many of you, you're just going to wake up in the morning of the year 2000 and say, well, this is what I get. And some of you are going to specifically plan for that to happen. So this is the way for you to begin that process. When you got up this morning, it's the 11th of September, you should have been planning the 11th of December this morning. You got up this morning, you had 15 minutes for what I call hour of power. It doesn't have to be an hour of power. It just can be, your power hour could be just 15 minutes. But if you'll do that 15 minutes every day and you plan out the 11th of December, your future will be cheaper than if you'll do it, wake up the morning of the 11th of December. Why? Why would it be cheaper? It would be cheaper. It would be less expensive. Why? If I plan 11th of December today, instead of waiting until then, why will it be cheaper?
You won't 3 months with inflation.
Well, 3 months worth of inflation, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought about that. Yes.
Book your flight now.
I get to book my flight reservations now, and I get the cheapest possible way for my life to happen. What else could happen as I'm planning for the next 90 days to make that day cheaper? Over here, ma'am? My Christmas shopping could start today. You bet. I've been walking through looking for bargain basement kinds of things. Oh, that'd be good for a Christmas present for her. You throw it in the bag and you let it sit there for 3 months. Yes?
Taxes, courses, anything that you do to save.
Anything can be cheaper if you buy it in advance. Yes, over here, Larry.
You won't have to fix the things that broke on the 10th because you didn't plan for them.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. I can get maintenance done. I can get my cars serviced the way they're supposed to be serviced waiting until they break down. Because if they break down, it costs me 2, 3, 4 times as much money in advance. The further out you plan, the richer you are. You should say that aloud with me right now. The further out you plan, the richer you are. Now, it was J. Paul Getty who had a famous statement. He says, they asked him, what was the secret to your wealth? And he said, I buy my straw hats in the fall. So I don't wait till the springtime when everybody wants straw hats and the sun is beating down. I wait till it's dark and cold and nobody wants those straw hats. And then I buy them all. And then when I get to the springtime, I've just kind of warehoused them for a period of time. I sell them all at full retail and I make a fortune. You should all be buying your straw hats in the fall. That means buying your things early before they are really expensive. What's the best time to buy Christmas ornaments during the year? December 26th and beyond, right? But most of us wait until December the 1st. Then we rush out. The most expensive time of all is when we buy our Christmas trees. You know, the most expensive Christmas tree we can get. And then we buy the lights. We all wait until the last moment. Now, you might say this is not that big a deal. It's a difference between 50% off of your life. And if you're now, barely making it at $3,000 a month, this is another $1,000 that would go into your pocket. What could you do with that $1,000?
Invest it.
That's where you invest it. That $1,000 is what makes your future wealthy. And so this planning is absolutely critical. It's one of the main skills of saving. I have to save my time and save my money. So I now have my way in which I can control my months. Whenever you write down an appointment, you write it here in your quarterly calendar. Stick your quarterly calendar inside your little pouch. And therefore I've got my money and my time figured out, but I do need my daily figured out. So let's go into our power planners and let's pull out the weekly goal right here. And as soon as you see one like this, fold it in the middle and into thirds. And since this is Monday, make sure Monday is facing outwards. Okay. Now, stick Monday into the flaps that are the top and the bottom. On the outside, you'll stick the bottom into the tiny little flap on the bottom. You'll stick the top into the tiny little flap on the top. And therefore, it faces outward and is ready to be written on. You see that? If you need some help, you can turn to your neighbor and your neighbor will show you how to do it. Okay? Okay, as soon as you got it all out there, look up this way. So now I have my daily thing that's all ready to be written on. If I was going to carry this with me and I needed to do something, I thought of something to do. Got to put it on my to-do list. I pull it out here and it's ready to be written on. I would just write it right there. Well, where would I write it? There's a line, and above the line there's a little 20 in that little triangle. See that? And then below the line there's an 80. What does that mean? Okay, everything that's important you want to write above that line. Everything that's not important you're going to put it below that line. So let me teach you the secret to all success when it comes to time management. This is it. You must learn how to procrastinate. And I'm really serious about this. The best and most successful person on the planet is the best procrastinator. Because they have just as much stuff to do as you do, if not more. They've got hundreds of things they need to do that day. When they got up that morning to look at their list, how did they procrastinate? Well, there's an old rule that says 20% of the things you do give you 80% of your results. You ever heard that? And 80% of the things you do give you 20% of your results. In other words, there are few critical things if you do will give you huge returns on your money. And a few lots of things you do will give you almost nothing on your money. Let's pretend that you're investing your money into a couple of stocks. Let's put it this way. Let me analyze it here for you. Suppose I could put my money into two different stocks. It would be stock A and stock B. And you have $100 to put into your stocks that month. That $100 you saved by getting your airline ticket right. Let's see, I could put some money in A and B. I decide I'm going to put $20 in A. And I'm going to put $80 in B. Does everybody understand that now? So I got $20 worth of company A and $80 worth of company B. Now I watch this for a whole year. And then at the end of the year, I look at my returns and I found out that that $20 grew into $80 in profit. And that this $80, although it did make a profit, only grew into $20 in profit. Are we following this so far? This one grew into $80 and that, lots of money, only grew into 20. Now I get to decide next year, based upon similar assumptions, where to put my money. Where should I probably put my money? Yeah, why? Because for every dollar I put into A, how many dollars came back? $4. I put $1 into A, I get $4 back. That's a pretty good deal. Now for every dollar I put into B, how much money did I get back? Yeah, and this is, you thought you were out of math, didn't you? 2 trains traveling in the same direction towards Los Angeles. Okay, 25 cents. All right? So I put $1 into B and I get 25 cents back. I put $1 into A and I get $4 back. How many times more powerful is A than B? If I divide 25 into 4, or 20, it's 16 times. In other words, I make 400% of my money over here, and I make 25% of my money here. 16 times more powerful. Okay, that means if I were to put my money into A, I'd be 16 times, that's 1,600% better than if I put it into B. Now that's what happens when you do it with your time. If you invest your time into what we call a 20% activity, one of those high payoff activities, if you invest it in a high payoff activity, you're 16 times further down the road than if you waste it on something that's just on your to-do list, just on one of those low payoff activities. 16 times. Now Brian Tracy actually reports a study where they did this with the insurance salespeople, and they found out that the top 20% of the salespeople earned 16 times more money than the average of the people in the bottom 80%. 16 times more money. If the guy at the bottom was making $5,000 a year, the guy at the top was making $80,000 a year. Okay? And so they said, well, I wonder how far this carries out. And so they took the top 20% and they took the top 20% of the top 20%. And they found out that the top 20 of the top 20, which is the top 4%, was making 32 times as much money as the people below them. Like, not percent. Like they took their salaries and multiplied it by 32. And they took the top 1%, which is the top 20% of the top 20% of the top 20%, which is about 1%. If the top 1% of the earners was making 52 times as much money as the bottom 99%. Now, what is it that those top 1% earners were really doing? I can guarantee you when they got up in the morning, they weren't fooling around. They got up in the morning and they said, what can I do that is the most productive thing I can do this day? And I'm going to focus my energy, my investment of time, I'm going to focus it in on the things that give me the highest return, and I am going to procrastinate everything else. You see, everybody procrastinates. Everybody. It's just, what do you procrastinate? Some people get up in the morning and they decide, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to procrastinate that. Other people get up in the morning and they say, oh, I'll do that. And as soon as I've got these things taken care of and crossed off my list, then I'll do this. And you want to know why they are 32, 16, 50 times less productive? If only just in terms of money, but in terms of the way their life works. Their magnitudes like 15 times better, or more powerful, or more organized, or more clear. They get more stuff done that really counts. Now let me tell you why some of you get stuck procrastinating the wrong way. Because there is a right way to procrastinate, and there is a wrong way. Most of us prepare our to-do list. How many of you got the to-do list you work on every day? I'm going to see, raise your hands on it. You got your to-do list. Okay, now how do you write it up? Okay, start in the morning, and you ask yourself the question, what do I got to do today? The wrong question, but hey, you write it down. Okay, and you ask your brain the question, what do I got to do today? And your brain has been trained over many, many years of being trained like a rat in a maze to give you the things to write on your to-do list. You see, if you want to train somebody, you reward them. So how do you reward yourself for asking yourself that question every day? What do I got to do today? The more things you can write on that to-do list, the more you're rewarding yourself. Right? So I want to have lots of things on my to-do list, because if I cross those things off, what happens? I have an endorphic response. My brain cells go, yahoo! And you just cross it off, and it's almost orgasmic. In fact, some of you, at the end of your day, if you've done something and forgot to write it down, you'll go back at the end of the day and write it on your list so you can cross it off. Isn't that right? You will, won't you? So at the end of the day, the way your day counts is if you've got lots of stuff crossed off. Okay? I'm going to try to tell you here that it's irrelevant how much stuff you cross off. That is, throw it out the window. That's the way poor people think. The way wealthy people and the way most successful people on the planet think is that what are the 2 or 3 tasks that I can start today that may not get done for weeks. They might have to remain on that list that I can focus my energies on until they finally get done, and that really pushes me forward. But ineffective people have been trained, like they train a rat, to want to cross stuff off. What you're really crossing off are the fun, fast, frivolous things that in the context of life are totally irrelevant. Most of us don't have on our to-do list, love my family, you know. But this isn't on your list. That's the most important thing that counts. It's not on your list, is it? We're almost always writing things on our list that really don't count. And therefore, when you do your to-do list, you have to ask that question in a very serious way. What do I got to get done today? What is critical? What is going to push my life forward today? It's going to make my life really count today. And only reserve that space at the top of your page here for the 20% of those activities. Therefore, when you have your brain pop into with a question like, you got to get the milk. Where am I going to put that on my list? I'm going to put it down here in the bottom. It doesn't mean I shouldn't do it, and it doesn't mean it's not important. It means in the context of the long-term picture, it's not that critical. And therefore, I'm going to put it in what I say the bottom 80%. The top 20 are reserved for the things that are probably going to stay on that list for a while, that I'm probably not going to cross off, but I have to work on every day. Now, when do I do these things that really, in the context of life, have to get done, but really don't mean that much to the long-term picture of it? I mean, I still have to do certain things every day. And my life is made up of shaving, for instance. I got to shave. You know, I got to do that. And I've got to take my breakfast, you know. And really, that's really not going to push me that far forward in life. So when do I do those things? Well, how many of you know there are times in your day when you are productive and times when you are less productive? Anybody have times like that? How many of you are the most productive in the morning before noon? See, raise your hands on that. How many of you are the most productive in the afternoon till about 6 p.m.? How many of you are the most productive from 6 p.m. till about midnight? Okay, how many of you are the least productive in the morning till about noon? How many of you are the least productive? Some of you raise your hands on both of those. How many of you are the least productive from noon till about 6 p.m.? How many of you are the least productive from 6 p.m. till about midnight? Okay, all of us know when I have our high energy times and low energy times. Therefore, I'm going to ask you to only do during your high energy times those 20% activities that require your full attention, your full energy. This is not the time when you open the mail. I can open the mail when I'm brain dead. I can open the mail during the time of the day when I've just got nothing left. I can do that. That's easy to do. Oh yeah, I can do that. I don't want to do that during my peak energy times. For instance, if you're writing a book, you know, during 4 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody up, that's when you want to be focusing. If that's the way your life is works, that's the way it works for me. That's not the time when I go make a milkshake. That's not the time when I want to watch the news. That's not the time when I want to open the mail. That's the time when I want to sit at my computer, when I want no interruptions whatsoever, want to focus my 100% attention on seeing how many words can I get on that page today. Because every page I write on a page of paper is worth $20 to me. That's how much I make for every dollar I write. Every and, the, it, whatever is 20 bucks. And so during that time when I'm writing my words, do I want to have somebody divert me from my $20? Are you worth 20 bucks a minute or $20 a word to me? You know, no, good. Then don't bother me. I'm writing words here. I'll talk about how to do that when I call infopreneuring. Because if you're an infopreneur, you make money by informational words, right? So you have to plan your day, not to say there are some things that are worthless. They're not. You know, we all have to get the laundry done. We all have to get the tickets to the play. We all have to go pick up the kids from school. Those things are critical and very vital. We just need to plan those things during our most productive moments in life, if we can, and to delegate everything else. Okay, does that make sense? So our planner here, our day is divided into asking yourself that question: what are the most productive things, what are the least productive things, writing them on that list, and only cross them off during our most productive times. Now, as soon as I finish with Monday, then I'll flip and fold this to Tuesday, and I'll fold it to Wednesday, Thursday, etc. On my daily sheet, I have a place to jog my memory every single day on things that are critical to me. Now, you'll notice here at the top, in kind of subliminal form, there's a tiny little blue print in there that spells a word. What does the word spell? Spells the word power. And you know there's some numbers next to it. A 3, a 2, 2, 2, and a 1. Next to the word power, there's a number 3. I'm going to say to you that this is probably the most productive time in your day when you plan your day out. That's the 15 minutes to 30 minutes that you spend every day to plan either the next day or plan the day itself. How many of you do your planning the night before? How many of you do the planning the day of? How many of you just don't plan at all? When you get up in the morning, you should have you should be ready to hit the ground running. I like to do my planning the night before, but I don't do it all the time. But it's nice. Whenever I don't do it, then I have to plan that morning, and that gets me involved in planning time, and it kind of slows me down. I like to have my brain processing that stuff all night long. So when I wake up in the morning, because I've taken my proflavanol the night before, when I wake up in the morning, you know, I'm ready to hit the ground running. I just have to look at my list and see what's critical for me to get started on, and I can get started on it without having to spend more time fooling around. So I'm going to give myself 3 points for that day if I've done my power hour. Now, it doesn't have to be an hour, but it has to be done, planned. The more you plan, the cheaper your life is going to get. The more you plan, the more successful your life is going to be, if you've got that extra attitude of action. The next thing down there is the O, which stands for others. And so I'm going to plan, and the first thing I want to plan to do is to take care of other people. Not only my financial aspects, but in all aspects of my life. Does that make sense? So, what we have here is a system for us to organize, if I can find my system. I lost my system. Oh, here it is. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So here's my day where I organize my 80/20s. Here's my months where I organize my 90 days in advance. Here's my days where I control my money. There's 2 other pieces that go to our system. What are they? Okay, I got my journal where I write down my important activities. And there is a journal in there. And in addition, there is a phone book in there. So, my journal, this is where I keep my meetings, and my notes for my meetings. It's amazing how much information you can put on one little piece of paper. You carry that with you. If you're running a quote that you really like, or you're doing a business meeting, you need to take a record of it, take your journal, stick it inside your planner, and now I've got 4 pieces of paper in there. Final piece of paper would be my phone book. So dig out your phone book, fold it up. There are over 300 places in here alphabetized for you to write the numbers and the names of the people closest to you. I still use this to this very day. All of my database is located on this little piece of paper. I can photocopy this, boom, boom, on one piece of paper. I can keep a record of it. And if I add new names on here, it's really easy to add them. This is my phone book. This is all you really need. You don't need to carry out one of those long, big address books all the time. It's just one little simple piece of paper. Stick that inside one of the pouches. You're not going to pull that one out very often, so there are 2 things I like to keep on the outside. I like to keep my daily activities on the outside, my to-dos. I also like to keep my money on the outside in one of those little pouches that on the other side is got the pouch at the bottom, the little slip cover at the bottom and at the top. So, look up here as you're doing it. On the outside of my pouch I have money and time. On the inside I have my addresses and names. I've got my journal, and I've got my long-term planning for my 90 days in advance. There I am controlled and in organization from that very moment. I can do it all in one little thing. I can stick in my pocket or purse, and I'm in control. Okay? Now, some of you have other kinds of systems that you use, and they're a little bulkier, that's true. I'm going to ask at the very least, everyone here in this room, at the very, very least, every one of you should be taking your money, your cash flow tracker here, your organizer. You should carry that with you everywhere you go for at least the next 30 days and fill it out every single time you spend money. The other organizer here, if this can be useful to you, you can shift to this one, or you can give that to somebody as a gift. It's a very powerful gift to give somebody for Christmas or something like that. There you've got yourself organized in one simple place. Everything you need. Time, money, people, it's all there. Okay? We didn't finish completely with our scoring system though, did we? Our daily scoring system. Let's just finish that up. We talked about the power hour. We give us 3 points. We talked about others. That gives us 2 points. The next one down the line is work FTF. That gives us 2 points. What does FTF stand for?
Waiting for you to tell me.
FTF stands for feared thing first. Okay? Not first things first. Feared thing first. I'll tell you why. Most of the time, the first things are always the feared things. And one of the reasons we don't like to do our first things first is because we don't like to fail. Because most of us are perfectionists. How many of you are perfectionists in this room? I see you raise hands on that. You're perfectionists. You're going to wait until it's right? So you'd rather have 100% failure because you never do it than to have 50% failure because you just get started. The reason that we don't do our most important tasks is because we don't want to fail at the most important things in our life. And yet the only thing you can really do is to stumble into it and get started immediately. You got to do it. And most of the time our fear is we are not going to be judged well by our peers. We're afraid. That's why we're perfectionists. That's why we want to do it perfect, because we're afraid of what they think. Now I'm going to ask you to take the feared thing first, the thing that scares you the most as you go down your to-do list. I'm going to ask you to put it at the very top of your list and do it first. Now there's several reasons for that. First reason is because it'll probably be one of the most important tasks. Number two, it'll do wonders for your self-esteem. Let me teach you the secret to all self-esteem right now. If you run from what you fear, your self-esteem automatically goes down. If you face what you fear, your self-esteem automatically goes up. This is a true statement. You try it with your kids. If your kids run from what they're afraid of, you are literally training them to have low self-esteem. Well, when kids start into school these days, they have high self-esteem. 80% of the kids that enter grade 1 today have high self-esteem. By the 5th grade, it's down to 20%. By the 12th grade, 5% of graduating seniors have high self-esteem. And the reason they do is a lot of reasons. It's not because the school system is bad. It's because life is a pretty tough place to learn in. It's pretty rough. And what you need to be doing is taking the things that are most fearful to you and doing them first. If you do, well, let's look what happens. You start your day off and you say, what's the thing that scares me the most today? I'm going to go ask for a raise. I've been waiting to do for this for months. I deserve it. I'm ready for it. I'm going to go get a raise. You march right in there at 8:30 in the morning. You say, boss, I got to have a raise. He fires you and throws you out the door. At least you have all the rest of the day to look for a new job. But what happens if they say, well, we've just been waiting for you to ask? So how much do you want? Okay, here's 7%, and you walk out of there and it's 8:30 in the morning. What happens to the rest of your day? Wow. You're feeling awesome. You're saying, oh, this is great. It makes the rest of your day worth it. Now, if you take something you're afraid of doing and tackle it first, the rest of the day, by comparison, looks easy. However, if you take the easy things and put them first and wait till the end of the day to do the things you're afraid of, by comparison, the rest of your day looks very difficult. Because in the back of your mind, you're saying to yourself, I still got to go ask the boss for a raise. I'll wait till 4:30. So you're going through your to-do list. You're crossing things off all right and left. You're trying to be real happy about this. When you get to the end of the day, in the back of your mind, there's been this nagging voice saying, oh, you're going to ask him for a raise. It ruins the whole day. Does that make sense? Therefore, do your fear thing first. I'm going to challenge you to do that first for the next 30 days. I'll make you a promise. You do your fear thing first. At the end of 30 days, you're going to feel like you can do anything. I'll tell you why. When you walk in the room, you're asking yourself the question, give me your best shot. What's my feared thing first in here? What's the thing that bothers me the most? Come on, give me your best shot. I can handle it. Right? is if you trained your mind to think that way, you're not afraid of anything. However, if you train your mind to think, oh no, I don't want to do that, you know, if you're always backing away from things, and when you walk in the room, you're looking for things, oh, I don't want to do that. You're automatically not prepared for life. Okay? So the third thing first is, what do I got to do first today? What's my toughest thing to do? And you give yourself 2 points as soon as you've done that. You reward yourself like a rat. Okay? That's the way they train. That's the way you need to train yourself. You need to reward yourself every time you do something good. Isn't that the way they train Shamu over here in SeaWorld? How do they train Shamu to jump out of the water like that? They put the bar underneath the water, or on the floor, and whenever he swims over the bar, they give him a fish. They raise the bar up. If he swims under the bar, they don't give him any fish. He swims over the bar, they give him fish. They raise it up to the level of the water. If he just swims around there, he starves to death. He just rolls over the top of the bar, they give him all the fish he wants. Pretty soon he gets to associate fish with this bar. They raise it a foot above the water. He stays down there, no fish, just jumps over. Lots of fish. I think I'm smart enough to figure this out. I jump over this thing, you give me all the fish I want. Is that right? Good. Raise the bar. I don't care. That's how they get him to jump 20 feet out of the water like that. They train him. You got to train yourself. When you do something that's hard to do, you give yourself some points. You send a letter to somebody you love, you give yourself some points. When you do your power hour, you give yourself some points. And you automatically train yourself to be an awesome human being. Okay? So, here's our system. It's all planned together for you. How many of you think that if you did that system for 30 days, that your life would be much more in control? Let me see you raise your hands on that. Your job and your challenge is to do that. And start with simple things. Like when we go to lunch here in another few minutes, you're going to take that planner with you. You go through what we call the Millionaire Minute. So let's just cover that really quickly. Fill in some blanks before we're done. Since time is money, that's secret number 3. J. Paul Ketty says, buy my strats in the fall. So the further ahead you blank, the blank you will be when you get there. The further ahead you plan, the richer you will be when you get there. Money mentalities. Plan your blanks and procrastinate your blanks. Plan your 20s and procrastinate your 80s, or if you want to say it another way, plan your needs and procrastinate your wants. So, let's just cover this thing about wants here for a minute. Most of you don't, well, let's put it this way. You want things because you can't afford them right now. And you say, well, if I had the money, then I would go out and buy them. Your wants are unlimited. Did you get that? As soon as your level of income increases to the point where you become aware that you can buy it, your wants are unlimited. There is no way for you to outpace your wants. As soon as you make $100,000 a month, you're going to want a Learjet. As soon as you make $1 million a month, you're going to want to, going to want to own, a bigger jet. Yeah. 'Cause in other words, right now your income dictates your wants. But as soon as your income goes up, your wants go up exponentially. What I'm trying to teach you to think of is that if you want to be secure, it's about all you really can hope for. If you want to be secure, you have to have a lifestyle that requires saving, that requires frugality, that requires the real fundamental basics, and that you can really enjoy the trips and the travel and all those kinds of things. You can have all of that, but you got to have a lifestyle that supports that. And let's just take all the things that most people have. They're really going in a huge debt for them, and they're going to really destroy their wealth to get them. So I know I had to get that off my chest, If you look at people who are really wealthy, they are very careful with their money. They are not conspicuously consuming at all. So when I say plan your needs and procrastinate your wants, I'm trying to say your wants are never going to end. All right, 7 minutes to Millionaire Minute. Shop for value. It doesn't have to be a bargain. Some bargains are worthless. You shop for value. Buy wholesale. Always get a discount. That's right. And another word to put in there is always get a receipt. Always get a receipt. Don't buy anything from a yogurt to a pen without getting a receipt for it. I want you in the habit of getting a receipt. I want you to stand there and wait for it. I want all the people in the line to think you're crazy, because you are. But you're the right kind of crazy. They're the ones that are the wrong kind of crazy. So, blank your receipt. Categorize your receipt. Blank your cash flow. Track your cash flow. Blank your leaks. Track your leaks. In other words, you got to flip it on the back side and blank your receipt. File your receipt. That's what the Millionaire Minute consists of. I look for value. I try to get a discount. I'm trying to buy wholesale. I get my receipt. I categorize my receipt. I'm going to track my cash flow. I'm going to balance my leaks. And I'm going to take that receipt and put it away. And if you'll do that, it takes you about a minute, sometimes 2 minutes per transaction every day. You're up to speed. You need a system for tracking your time and money, and that's what I've given you. I've given you a money tracker, a daily organizer, a 90-day planner, a phone book, and a journal. It's all found in that one little power planner that I had up here just a minute ago. There it is right here. There it is right there. Your wealth system contains your vital documents files, your owns and loans files, things you own, things you will own, your faucets and leaks. So your money rules are, I extend my blank blank each day. I extend my network planning horizon every day. Every day I got to extend my planning horizon. Rule number 2, I practice the Millionaire Minute. Number 3, I cut my living expenses by... Well, let's do that now here. You notice I don't carry too many credit cards. I do carry my old platinum card here. It's the only one I carry. Why? I have to pay this thing off every month. No matter how much I spend every month, they get a bill from that, and they want that money. They let me know when I'm late. I have to pay this off every month. It forces me to pay it off every month. Now, I've done a lot of research on credit cards. It's really simple. If you want to cut your living expenses by 30% instantly, take all your credit cards out of your wallet and purse and cut them up and throw them away, except for one, which I'll be showing you how to use here in a few minutes. Cut them up, because when you don't have your credit card, what happens? Your spending drops automatically. If you would take and cut your credit cards up, your living expenses automatically, with no effort, automatically will drop 30% in the next 12 months. Try it. If you've got access to the credit card cash, you're going to spend it. If you don't have access to it, you can't find it, you automatically stop the spending you would have normally spent on without any effort whatsoever. Does that make sense to you? That's a hard thing to do. See, you need a credit card for identification and all those other kind of reasons and excuses that you always give me. Credit cards are death. Death to financial freedom. Take your credit cards and save one of them for emergencies and for any of other Robert Allen seminars that I'm going to ask you to buy on Tuesday afternoon. But other than that, you take that credit card and you cut it up. Does that make sense? Okay? I know that's a tough one, but that'll automatically, you try me, automatically and instantly will cut your living expenses by 20-30%. It'll take you about 3 seconds to do that. So the last one here, finally, is I cut my living expenses by plastic surgery. All right? Okay, give me a couple more ahas, please. Yes, right over here, sir.
20% of your time makes 8% of your money.
20% of your time makes you 80% of your money. That's exactly right. Another way to put it. Good. Give me another one. Good here.
Wants are unlimited and they grow with your pocketbook.
Wants are unlimited and they mushroom like... Absolutely. Yeah, they go out of control. Yes, over here.
The first 10% of charities.
Yeah, 10%. 10% to charity, 10% to savings. A lot of you are very generous with your charities. You'll send them $50 or things like that. I'm talking for you to multiply your charities much, much more than that, and assume that the universe will pay you back. And I personally believe that the universe will. Isn't that what the Bible says? Bring foods into the storehouse and see, and he says, prove me now herewith to see whether or not I will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing so there's not enough for you to receive it. The point is, just say challenging. Okay, good. I'm going to be good. I'm going to pay my share. You take care of me. Back here.
Fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's right. Absolutely. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. Go over here, ma'am. You each have 2 ahas.
But no.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
Nature abhors a vacuum, which means?
They'll fill it up.
Yeah, okay, good. Give me another one. Another aha?
I really like the Rockefeller rules and how you can instill with your kids like right away.
Rockefeller rules, absolutely. Anything else? Yes, man here?
Do feared things first.
Do those feared things first. All right, there are lots of things we're learning here. We're building a mindset, and hopefully by the end of today, what we're going to do is just shift your awareness about a lot of things that you're already doing, but without a context to it. You're doing kind of a little thing here, a little bit over there, a little bit over there, but if they're all put together in a system, it really makes a massive difference. How many of you ever driven off a car lot in a brand new car, or even a used car, a new car to you, and you drove off that lot and you start to see that same car everywhere you look, same color, everything? How many of you ever had that happen to you? That's what we call awareness. I'm going to raise your awareness about lots of things, about the monies that you waste are really valuable. We're going to talk about credit cards, all these things that will raise your awareness so that when you see the world of money, you'll see it in a different way. In fact, when we go into investments, you're going to start to notice those little ticker tape things across the bottom of CNN. You know, and you're going to watch your stocks from now on. There's a lot of things going on in your money life that haven't been aware enough for you yet. Now, in our morning segment, we talked about these things. So let's fill in the blanks, because I have some perfectionists out there of just having cows because they haven't been able to fill the blanks in yet on their forms. So let's fill in the blanks, shall we? As Nancy Walker said, who is now dead, she said, money might not mean much to you, pal, but to me it ranks right up there with oxygen. At this point, she doesn't need oxygen either. But money is important. Each dollar bill is a blank blank with enormous money, with enormous potential. Each dollar bill is a money seed with enormous potential. A few money seeds planted blank can grow into a huge money tree. Consistently. A few money seeds planted consistently. And that's the secret. You got to do it every single month. Never miss a month. Can grow into a huge money tree. You can go rich on the money that you are now wasting. You don't have to make any more. You just have to waste a few less. A penny saved is blank blank earned. Well, a penny saved, if you just save the penny, well then a penny saved is a penny earned. But a penny invested is 10,000 pennies earned. Because if I'll invest that money, it grows into an awful lot. The cost of blank is extremely high. Start now. Cost of procrastination is extremely high. Start now. You can't make blank decisions today and expect to be blank tomorrow. You can't make poor decisions today and expect to be rich tomorrow. Every day gives you a chance to test your money rules. For instance, suppose, how many of you ever gotten a parking ticket before? I'm see you raise hands on that. You get the parking ticket, and what do you do with it? You're just so ticked off about it, you just could scream. You stick it in a little slot in the side of your car. You know, you're just going to show them, aren't you? You're just going to show them they can't give you a ticket like that. It matures in there for a while, and pretty soon, how many days does it go by before it doubles? You know, it's 30 days. You ever had a parking ticket double on you? How many of you had that happen? Okay, good. You procrastinated it and it doubled on you. When that happened, you really made a decision that you wanted to be poor in the future. Because your future is going to arrive. You know, you probably said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just let this sit until I do my registration next year. Now I'm just let it sit there. They're going to go get all my registration. Then I go and I'll pay a check for my registration. I'll pay all my bills and all my tickets will all be paid off. They'll all be paid off at 200% and 300%. But you don't have the money today, do you? That's why, oh darn it, I can't afford that $30 ticket today. Can you afford the $90 ticket tomorrow? So you can't make poor decisions today and expect to be rich tomorrow. You have to make rich decisions today, even if it means coming up with money you don't have, because in the future you won't have it either. In fact, you'll have a whole heck of a lot less of it if you wait until tomorrow to pay it. So that's you take your discounts today, you make your rich decisions today. When it comes to the rules at the bottom here, I spend my money blank. Wisely, good. I never pay retail, and I save at least Blank percent of all I earn, 10% of all I earn. Now let's talk about savings for a minute. Savings. We talked about savings here this morning a little bit. Let's just finish that discussion. Whenever you save money, and you should constantly be looking for saving money, you have to save it. A friend of mine quit smoking here a few months ago, and she says, I saved $50 last month. And I said, where is it? I don't know, maybe it's in my donut budget. Where did it go? Give me the $50. I don't know, I don't have it. She saved it. I mean, she stopped smoking, therefore there was $50 supposedly left in her life. Where is it? She hadn't saved it. She had saved it. But it doesn't do any good just to save it. You have to double save it. You have to take it out of your life. You have to stick it somewhere so that it's gone. So if you go to a gas station, for instance, and you're trying to save money on gas, that $2 that you save, you should take and put it in an extra little spot in your wallet or purse and get it out of your budget. Get it out. When you get home, download that money, take it out of the spot, and put it in your savings slot and send it to the bank and get rid of it. Because you will always spend as much money as you have. You'll just spend up to it. So you should get all this excess cash out of your life as much as possible. And if you saved money on a movie theater ticket, because you went on Tuesday instead of going on Saturday night, and you saved that $3, when don't just pay the $3 for your ticket. Take that extra money you would have saved, stick it in another pocket somewhere, and you get home, get it in the jar that you let build up in there, because you won't notice the difference. I mean, your budget will still be the same. Your life will probably still go on the same without you even noticing it. Is you'll have this extra $200 or $300 or $400 a month that starts to kind of build up over time, and pretty soon it gives you that chance to put money in stocks and bonds and mutual funds and things of that nature. All right, so that's what I call saving, and it's really critical. And so we've talked about 4 skills up to this point. Actually, we've talked about 3 skills. Now we're going to go into the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th skills. First skill we talked about was valuing it. How many of you are valuing those dollar bills more today than you did yesterday? Let me see, raise your hands on that. How many of you actually filled out your little money tracker there when you got your, okay, good. And most of you wrote down that this was a business expense. Hopefully it was a business lunch. You got to write that off. How many of you let somebody else pick up the lunch for you today? Now those are the smart ones. That's right. We try to avoid writing in our little booklets at all. If someone else will pick up the lunch for you, then that's a real deduction that you want. All right? That's why whenever I go to lunch, I try to not take my wallet with me. I didn't bring my wallet with me on purpose. Maybe someone else will pick it up. Now, let's see, we got our savings, our valuing our money, that's critical. The skill number 2 was what? Yeah, controlling that money as it flows through. I've got to control it. The 3rd skill is to save that money. And these things are fundamentals. We all heard this thing a million times, but most of us don't know why you save. And we don't understand the value of saving. If you save just $1 a day, you invest that at 10 to 15 or 20%. By the time you reach that 66 years old, you have $1 million. You have $2,750,000 all the way up to $1 billion. So this gives you an incentive for saving. It's critical. Now, what do I do with that money when I've saved it? See, when I've saved it, and I've got a bank account with money sitting in it, what do I do with it then? Got to invest it. Now, investing is different than saving. And investing is different than making money. Investing is a special skill that everyone here in the room needs, no matter how much money you are making at your regular business. It used to be that I've had many businesses over my career. I've owned, when we hit our best-selling books, I went out and bought all kinds of different businesses. I bought a chocolate factory, which is the first thing I thought of once I made lots of money. Your wants do multiply, and you get what you really want, right? My wife bought a clothing store. We went and invested into a Broadway play. so that we could be there opening night, and I still get little dribbles of income from that Broadway play. I invested in the Utah Jazz. I became an owner of the professional basketball team, the Utah Jazz. That was a lot of fun. Could sit on the front row and get the best seats in the house, and it was a very wonderful experience. I absolutely loved it. I invested in several other businesses that didn't do very well, kind of went down the drain. So I've had a lot of experience making and losing, and sometimes making money. I always used to have this opinion that, if a business person is going to invest his or her money, that they should make huge rates of return. That's why I always liked real estate, because you can get 100, 200, 300% on your money. I can invest $25,000 in cash to buy a foreclosure property and get $75,000 or $100,000 back, in a year period of time if I've looked really carefully. So I get high rates of return. When I compared that to the rates of return from the stock market, I always, and this is of course before 1989, I always would say, why would anybody put their money in the stock market? Or in mutual funds, or in a savings account, or in certificates of deposit? If you could make 200-300% on your money, why would you ever put your money in those other kinds of investments that are more traditional? And that was a huge mistake on my part, because I didn't realize that there were two skills. See, I thought there was just making money, which is skill number 5. I hadn't thought that skill number 4, which is investing money, which was essential to my investing and my business life, and it is to you too. Even if you're a business person and you're making lots of money at your business, you also have to have on the side your investments to go along with it. And I'll show you why. Suppose you, let's just take real estate for instance. Let's suppose you do really well. You buy a copy of Nothing Down, or you go to one of my 5-day seminars and you just go crazy with real estate and you're doing incredibly well. And let's say by the year 2000 you want to retire. It gives you 4 or 5 years to get there, and you make that $5 million net worth of yours, all right? So you got $5 million in real estate. What are you going to do with it? Suppose you just want to retire and have the money coming in on interest. You don't want to have to hassle with the properties any longer. So you go sell all the properties. And let's suppose you got your $5 million in after taxes. That was $5 million coming into. Well, actually, let's be realistic here. Going to have to pay taxes on that, so it's going to wipe out probably 40% of it at least. So I got $3 million left over, and I'm going to put it in the bank account somewhere. I'm going to have that earn money from me, right? Let's see, well, how much would $3 million in the bank earn me if I wanted to retire? If it's at 3% interest, 3% on $3 million, how much a year? Yeah, it's about $100,000 a year, and is that wealth? If you got $3 million in the bank, $100,000, that might not be too bad. That's, let's see, how much is that per month? $8,000 a month? Okay, $8,000 a month. Is that all tax-free? Because this is interest, isn't it? So I'm going to have to pay taxes on that. So $8,000 a month, I got to wipe out half of that for interest and on my taxes on my interest. So I'm down about $4,000 a month. Now that doesn't even make the payment on that Nothing Down $1 million mansion that you had there. So $4,000 a month is really not all that hot, is it? So what are you going to do? See, you've got $3 million in the bank, and you're really only netting about $4,000 a month. That's if your money's growing at 3%. You're going to have to make it grow higher, aren't you? So what are you going to do? You're going to walk down to your local stockbroker, bring in $3 million in cash. Hi, I've worked 5 years of my life to get this together. I want to give it to you because I know you know what you're doing. You take my money, make it grow at bigger rates of return. Is that what you're going to do? You feel real comfortable about that, aren't you? No. As soon as you lose control of your money, you lost. It's a real secret. You don't lose control of your money. You got to know where it is. You got to know who's managing it. You know what the rates are, where they're investing it, etc. You never turn over your money to somebody else and let them watch it for you. Period. You have to know what's happening to it. Well, you could get your money grow at 5% interest by just giving it to the government, and they'll give you a nice bond. You can probably get 7% on that if you wanted to. And in some instances, you probably get some tax-free money on that, 5, 6, 7% tax-free. That's pretty good. So I'm making $7,000, $8,000 a month. But if you want to get to 10%, now that starts to get a little tricky. I get 10% of my money, I have to give it to somebody else who knows what they're doing, and I got to watch over their shoulder. If I want to get it to 12 and 13 and 15%, that's also very tricky. See, if I'm making 10% on my money, $3 million, that's $300,000 a year. Now I'm starting to get where I could really probably live on that. It'd probably be okay. The point is, there's going to come a time in your life, Mr. Business Person, where you'll have a chunk of stuff to invest. And I'm going to ask you where you're going to put it and who you're going to give it to. And if you're like a good entrepreneur, you're going to have to watch over that, just like you did with your business, or you're going to have some troubles down the road. So I'm going to challenge you that you have to do it as you go along, not waiting till the end to learn it. And I want you to have some experience investing in the stock market, investing in mutual funds and things like that, because I want you to experience it every single month, almost every single day. As you're watching TV, you're watching in the side of your corner of your ear, you're listening. What did the Dow Jones do today? You know, did it go up? Did it go down? How much of my money's in there? You may only have $500 in there. But I want you to know, by experience, the feeling of what it's like when you got your own money lying on the line here, because that teaches you how to take care of it. If you wait till the end to invest your money, you will not have that savviness that comes from watching, even subliminally, where your money is growing. You got that? Now let's suppose on the other side of the coin that by the year 2000 you lost everything. You put everything you got into this business of yours. You put everything into it, and darn it, you just didn't make it. So by the year 2000, you're out. You're done. You're going to start from scratch. You may be even deep in the hole. If you hadn't taken 10% or 5% of your money and stuck it aside for what we call our long-term investment process, you wouldn't have money to kickstart yourself with. You would have just spent it. You would have poured it back into your business thinking that's what you needed to do. And so from both standpoints, if you make it big or even if you lose it all, you need to have that investing part that goes in there. Now, where should you put your money? How do you get your money to grow? Where should you put it? There are lots of traditional ways of investing our money. And I want you to explore all of them, all right? So let's start over here with what we call taking stock consistently. Secret number 4, 10 rules of investment. Warren Buffett, our richest man in America when it comes to investing in the stock market, says, I'm a better investor because I'm a businessman. And I'm a better businessman because I'm an investor. Most people really don't understand that statement. They think they're both the same. Business, investing, what I've tried to delineate for you here is they are two different skills. He says, I run a business. I'm an entrepreneur. But I'm a better entrepreneur because I know how my money grows in the stock market. And I'm also a better investor in the stock market because I know how hard it is to make that money grow when I'm an entrepreneur. And so the skills work together with each other. So we're going to talk about what I call the 10 rules of investments, because I am going to challenge everybody here in the room, starting next Monday morning, to call up whatever local stockbroker turns you on, or whatever local mutual fund company turns you on, from calling whatever 800 number they've got in Money Magazine, from there to somebody that you know locally that handles these kinds of things. And I'm going to challenge you to cause them to set up an automatic debit out of your bank account and to have them pull money out of your account every single month with your permission. I would rather you bounce checks to the grocery store than you miss that particular account that comes out of you every single month. Some of you already do this, and more people are doing it because the benefits are really obvious. How many of you are consistent month by month, every single month, investors in mutual funds? May I see you raise your hands on that? Okay, we've got about 40% of you. I want 100% of you to do that. And I want them to take it right out of your bank account. Some of you are just beginners, and so you don't know where to start. We have this thing called the stock market. And what they sell on the stock market are stocks and bonds and mutual funds. We'll cover that briefly. What I'm going to talk about when it comes to the stock market are some rules that I want all of you to learn. And that is, you can't time the market, so don't try. Time the market. If anybody comes up to you and says, this is the best time to buy this thing, it's going to go through the roof, Be very, very careful. You never invest more than maybe 10% of your investment funds in some risky thing like that. You never put all your money into one basket. Now, what I mean by time the market is that, frankly, nobody knows when the stock market is going to go up and when it's going to go down. And you especially don't know that. Neither do I, especially, because I don't spend my life studying it. But there are guys and gals right now on Wall Street who literally spend 21 hours a day in this thing. They manage various funds. It is their entire life. They get up in the morning and they wake, every waking hour is spent studying the stock market, studying mutual funds, studying the ups and the downs and all the rules. You cannot in your entire lifetime ever catch up to them. So don't try. Now, of all these guys and gals on Wall Street that are trying to spend their whole life studying it, what percentage of them are really successful? Of all the mutual funds that have been, mushroomed in the last 5-10 years, there's 6,000 or 7,000 different mutual funds, all concentrating on the same 3,000 stocks. What percentage of those people are really making great returns? About 20% of them. And the other 80% will be, put your money in the bank and you'll be just fine. About 20% of them are doing it. These are people who spend their entire life at it. How can you even come close? You can't. So don't try. Don't even try. There are some things that you can do, and many of you understand these things. I'm going to be teaching it today. There are things that you can do as an illiterate, ignorant stock market investor. I'm going to put myself in that category. I don't purport to know an awful lot about the stock market. I do know a few principles that really work for the average person, which I am when it comes to the stock market. You bring me into real estate, I'm not average. You bring me into starting my own business, I'm not average. But you get me investing in the stock market, I'm just a run-of-the-mill person. So, number 2, don't buy blank, buy blank with blank, blanky blank, blank, blank. Okay? If I am going to invest in the stock market, if I do pick a few stocks there that I want to put my money into, first of all, I want to take my little chunks of money, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and spread it up into several little pieces. You very rarely want to put all of your money into one stock. But the key is you're not investing in stocks. I think you should just throw that kind of concept out the window. And the way Buffett talks about it, he says, I don't buy stocks. I don't buy pieces of paper. I buy... This is don't buy stocks, is the blank here. Don't buy stocks. Buy great, and this is actually a quote from Buffett, buy great blank. Buy great companies. I'm going to buy a company, not a stock. With solid market dominances. And stick with them as long as they are great. Dominances. Don't buy stock. Buy great companies with solid market dominances and stick with them until they're great. Let's look at some of the stocks that Warren Buffett himself has bought over the last 15 years or so. Anybody know some of the stocks he's got in his portfolio? Gillette. All right, Gillette. Does Gillette have a solid market dominance? Yeah, in terms of male products? Yes, definitely. Give me another solid company. Coca-Cola. Does Coca-Cola have a solid market dominance all over the world? Yeah, and it's something that people, anybody can understand that. Give me another one that he might have purchased. Pardon me?
Kleenex, Kimberly-Clark.
I'm not sure. Is this one of Buffett's? Well, there's one. There's Kleenex and some basic things. Microsoft would be something where probably over a long period of time would have a solid market dominance. Yep. Yeah. Disney would probably have a solid market dominance over a long period of time. He's also bought See's Candies, and I've begun to appreciate that particular investment more and more. He also just bought outright a company called Geico Insurance, which has a solid market dominance in what it focuses on. In other words, he just takes lots of his money and focuses on a few very key investments. It's the same thing you should do. If you've ever had interest in the stock market, you should read a couple of books about Warren Buffett, because he does it in the whole aspect of wealth. He does it all right. The way he invests his money, the way he lives his life is pretty much the way I think most of us should be doing it. Number 3, the key is blank. Make automatic monthly investments. The technical term for this is blank, blank, blank. The key is consistency. Consistency. Every month, without fail, never miss a month, consistently make your automatic monthly investments. The technical term for this is dollar cost averaging. Now, how many of you have never heard those three words before or never understood them? Dollar cost averaging. Let me see everybody's hands on that. Dollar cost averaging. Let me show you a chart that really was stunning to me the first time I saw it. And it really taught me what this really means when I say dollar cost averaging, the difference. I'm going to show you two stocks. I'm going to show you one, actually we're going to take two funds, which a mutual fund is just a group of stocks that some person has selected out of the stock market and put them together in what they call a fund. Here are two stocks, funds. I'm going to put that over to the side like that in that way. Let me try it this way. Try that. Okay, here's Fund A, and this is Fund B. Fund A, they're going to make a monthly investment every single month, right? So today I'll buy $100 worth of Fund A. Next month I buy $100, and the month after that I buy $100, and the month after I buy $100, and $100, and $100, and $100, okay? And this is Fund B, and every month I buy $100. Boom, 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 boom. Which of those funds would the average person be excited to own? A. Why? It's a consistent winner. Makes nice amounts of money over quite a long period of time. They're really happy with that. And yet, which one makes the most money? Yeah, at $100 a month, here's where they both fit. This Fund A would make you $1,435 in your first year. This would make you $2,230 in your first year. Now, why is that? Because if you buy every single month, even if you buy and it's going down, this is where it takes little nerves of steel, because the beginners hate to put their money in something that's going down in value. But what you're doing is you're buying those stock funds cheaper. You're getting discounts on them, basically, is what you're getting. Woo, good, it's going down. I'm getting discounts. Woohoo! Yoo-hoo! Oh, now this is kind of scary, because, I don't know, maybe it'll go down to zero. Then you'll end up with a lot of really worthless stock, won't you? Yeah, but over a long period of time, what might happen with that fund? It pops up a little bit, even if it comes up less than what I bought the first amount of shares for, see? What'd you buy your shares for? I bought them for $10 a share. What are they selling for today? $9. Well, that must be a real loser, right? Well, it'd be a loser if I'd put all my money in here and tried to take it all out there. But I don't put all my money in here. I spread my money out so that every month I consistently buy. And even if it doesn't come back to what I originally bought it at, I'm still way, way, way ahead. Okay, does that make sense? Now, most people don't understand the stock market. They think there's a lot of risk in it. Very risky place to put your money. Let me tell you where it's risky. There is a risky place for the stock market. And then there's a very, very safe place for the stock market. And it all depends on time. According to this report I picked out of the paper the other day, let's suppose we had 5 holding periods. 1, 5, 10, and 25-year holding periods. Suppose you took your money and stuck it in the stock market and took it out a year later. You stuck your money in the stock market and took it out 5 years later, 10 and 25 years. You understand that? Now we're going to compare the probabilities of making money, or I guess actually in this case it's the probability of losing money, with different holding periods. Where does the average person who gets in the stock market, where's their usual holding period in the stock market?
1 year.
It'll be 1 year. If it's gone down, probably be a couple of months. 5 years maybe. They're really not focusing for long term. They're trying to get into a long-term vehicle and make short-term money. And therefore they end up making short-term losses. Here's where the real risks come. Look at this. Probability of loss. If I'm investing in stocks, for instance, that means I'm buying IBM and Caterpillar and whatever stocks happen to be out there. If I do my 1 year, if I put my money in the beginning of the year and take it out at the end of the year, I have a 35% chance of losing my money. But the longer I leave my money in there, I have 15% chance of losing, 5% chance, 0% chance of losing money over a long period of time. Now this, of course, is based upon, the past history. So I can't predict the future. But in terms of the way we had our past, from the Depression, even from the early 1900s, there has never been a 25-year period of time in any year you want to pick, from 1900 to 1925, from 1901 to 1926, from 1902 to 1927. You take any 25-year period of time from the beginning of this century all the way up to today, and there has never been a 25-year period of time where an investor lost money in the stock market. What's the secret there? See, these dips and ups and downs in the stock market, if I can spread them out long enough, eventually that stock market is going to have a consistent increase. Now, like I said, I'm going to make an assumption here that the future will be the same as the past, but I believe very strongly that it will. I don't know what might happen in the next 5 years. Perhaps the economy could tank. Maybe it'll tank for 15 years. Maybe it'll tank for 20. But I think more than likely, us Americans in our ingenuity will figure out a way for the values that we put our money into today will eventually come back within a 25-year period of time. So you don't invest your money on a short-term basis. You basically you say, take the money out of my bank account every single month, and you literally forget it. You just do something else and let it stay there. Now, if I'm investing in bonds, which is lending money to the government, for instance, and having them pay you 6% or 7%, or lending your money to a corporation like IBM, and then having you pay you 7, 8, 9% or more, the risks of bonds are even less. Putting your money out within 1 year is 19%. Within a 5-year period of time, there's 4% chance that you'd lose money. 10-year period of time, 0 chance you'd lose money. 25-year time, 0 chance you're going to lose money. So the real secret is long-term, get it in, forget about it, and that makes the difference between the amateur investor and an investor who really does extremely well in the stock market. So let's look at our rules then again. No matter whether you're a pro at this or you know nothing about this, suppose your kids are selecting it. Make it that simple. The rules are basically the same. You add the consistency. Every month, it's dollar cost averaging. Number 4, don't blank blank unless you have a strategy for blank blank. In other words, don't get in unless you have a strategy for getting out. What's your strategy for getting out? Don't. What's Warren Buffett's favorite holding period, by his own quote?
Forever.
Forever. That he buys them and he just sticks with them forever. That's his favorite holding period. He makes the right decision, buys a company with solid market dominance like Coca-Cola, Gillette, some of these companies like that, and he just never lets them go. Just keeps buying more and more of them because he knows over the long haul, big companies with solid dominances can't lose. So don't get in unless you're planning on getting. If you're planning on getting out, just don't start, because the chances of you losing money in 1 year are real high. Okay, number 5, blank your money over several different investment classes. Yeah, this is called allocate. Allocate your money over several investment classes. You should, all of you, should have 3 kinds of investments. Each of you should have some stocks, most likely in mutual funds. Each of you should have some bonds, a bond where you're lending money to somebody, most likely in mutual funds. And each of you should have cash investments, just where you put your cash to park it for a period of time. Places to park your cash. The older you are, the more you should have in bonds. The younger you are, the more you should have in stock. If you're getting to be in your 50s or your 60s, you should be shifting towards bonds. And that's what this newspaper article that somebody put on my desk here just a second ago, that's basically what it's going to tell you. It's where you allocate your money. Therefore, if you're under 40, you should probably have 50% or more of your money into mutual funds. If you're over 40, you should be shifting that percentage where more and more of it goes into bonds. Well, how do I pick bonds, and how do I know? open up a newspaper and I got lists of thousands of different mutual funds to pick from. How do I pick one? How do I pick one that has stocks and one that has bonds in it and some that are money market funds? Where do I go to pick that out? How do I do it? How did you make your decision? Who told you where to put your money?
Watch them.
Yeah, you watch certain funds, okay?
I picked the biggest,
You picked the biggest, all right? So she picked big. Probably went with Magellan, huh?
Fidelity.
So you went with Fidelity, which is Magellan, all right? Good. So I've got some money in Fidelity too. Yeah, where did you put yours? How did you?
Determining what type of risk, high risk, medium risk, or low
Higher, medium, or low risks. Yeah, but you go in the newspaper and there's thousands of them. And they'll say, high growth mutual fund, the aggressive growth fund. They'll have all these words. I mean, how in the heck do you know the difference between bonds and where do you go for these answers? Well, how do I get the track record?
Money magazine.
Okay, I go to the Money Magazine. I go to the library. Okay, go to Newsweek. All of them have various different reports. Here's one from U.S. News World Report here a couple of years ago. Best mutual funds. You could get any magazine on your newsstand and they'll rank them in order of importance. There are a couple of things that you probably want to watch for. And one would be how much does it cost to get in? And a lot of them will have a minimum of $2,500. How much do I have to invest every single month? Some will have, minimums of $1,000, every time you buy. Well, obviously that's going to knock most of us in this room out. And I don't want to put $2,500 every time I buy a mutual fund. I want to have the cheapest one I can get. I also want to have one that has very, very low minimums. So I can buy for $50 or $100. Are there any funds that come to your top of your head that you've heard that advertise that way? You can get in for $50. Anybody? Yes, back here? Capital, okay. Templeton, yeah, Templeton I can get in for that low of money. Any other funds that come to the top of your mind? Investors. See, I'm not trying to point out to you which ones you should or shouldn't buy. What I'm trying to cause you to be aware of is how are you going to make that decision? I think Janice can get in for $50 and invest every month for $50. There's a list that I can get on what I call no-load funds and load funds. Okay, so just make that quick decision. What's his best? Load funds or no-load funds?
No load.
When I compare the actual returns from a group of people that are load funds, that means they pay commissions. You have to pay commissions. And every time you put $100 in, they're going to take out $4 or $5 for commissions every time you invest. That's a commission you got to pay. Versus no-load funds, where every time I buy $100 goes right into the stock. I get 100% of it. Load funds would be commission ones, and no-load funds would be no commissions. If you look at the results over a 5-year period of time, for instance, which one of those wins the race? The load funds or the no-load funds? They're about even. It's about the same. It's about the same. In other words, even though you paid commissions, you're going to end up about the same as if you pay a no-load. And so the question is, if you are pretty good at investing your money by yourself, and if you like to make those decisions by yourself, then just make them with the telephone and do your no-load investing. If you're a total beginner at this, then call somebody up on the phone that lives in the area, a financial planner, for instance. You probably all know somebody in your circle of friends who's a financial planner, which means they sell something. And call them on the phone and say, what do you represent? Tell me what the commissions that you're charging on your funds. Are they load funds? Yes. And you need to find out what their track record is. And then if you're totally ignorant at it, let them guide you for a while until you get the feel of it. Because pretty much over a 5-year period of time, there will not be too much difference between whether it's load or no load. Okay. I can recommend the names of a couple people that I really like to use in this area that are financial advisors. One of the fellows that helped me do some of the creation here is a fellow by the name of Saul Klein. And I absolutely love Saul. I think he's great for giving great advice. And everybody has a name or two of people that they like to go to. Just the key is pick somebody and get started immediately. That's the real key. Whether you're in Canada or whether the United States, it doesn't really matter. Now, some of you like to get really into it and tinker around with programs. There's a program from Morningstar that can analyze the rates of the funds. And there's some other what's another company that does analysis of mutual funds? There's just another one recently. I think it was Lipper or Morningstar is good. Can't remember the other one. Morningstar, I went into my computer program. It's a CD-ROM. It cost me about $500. And on my own computer, I can pull out funds based upon their performances. And so I can put the criteria. And I was looking for funds that I can get into for less than $1,000 and sometimes $2,000. And I wanted to look at the highest funds that had the highest return. Now this is about a year old, so this is not for your investing purposes now. It's for illustrative purposes for you to see. What Morningstar gave me was this chart right here, which talks about this year, the funds that had the highest total returns for a 1-year period of time. In order to get into Fidelity emerging markets, I don't know where they are now. They might be underwater now. But back then, it cost me $500 to get involved. There was their phone number, and that was their total 1-year return, 81.76%. Is that a pretty good return? Okay, over a long period of time, it probably isn't 81 for very long. It's 81 minus 20. 14 minus 2, 75 minus 42. Over a long period of time is the real key. How consistent is that? But this shows me on my computer program with Morningstar exactly what rates of return I can get on whatever these funds are. And there's just thousands of funds. It's just overwhelming. Here are a couple of funds that I picked out. I said I want the cheapest funds to get into. I want the ones that I can buy for the lowest amounts possible, but they have to yield at least 15% per year for a 15-year period of time in a row. And so it gave me 11 funds. It narrowed that, of all the 6,000 funds out there, narrowed it down to 11. For instance, Templeton Growth, I can buy it for $100. I can buy Templeton Growth, and every month I could buy $100 of it. There's their phone number. Their 3-year return was 22.01%, and their 15-year annualized return was 16.25%. And there are 11 of them here. Now, like I'm saying, these are just for illustration purposes, but as you narrow things down, you can see that there are some that have long track records with high rates of return over a long period of time, and there isn't anybody here who couldn't afford $25. That's $1 a day, isn't it? 30 days in a month, $25. Your kids could get a $25 mutual fund. American Leaders, Pioneer, United Income. I really don't know if these are good today, but I'm just trying to say that there is a universe of probably hundreds of funds that your kids could get. Let me tell you the difference that happens with your kids when you start showing them a statement when it comes in the mail and it shows their statement. It says, this is your money. That money that we take out of your allowance every week and we put it into your mutual funds, here it is. These kids start really catching on after a while. And you're driving down the road and you just got the mail and there's their statement in there. And it's got their name on it. And they open it up and it shows thousands and thousands of dollars in it because of the decisions that we've made together. Not only their mutual funds, but which specific stocks to buy. So the kids, they just love it because they can say, hey, for $25, it's $1 a day. I can operate like a New York level. And that's what each of you should be doing.